Welcome to another live edition of Pittsburgh Sportsline in the BPTV studios. I'm Al Levine, the Talking Machine. We got Chip Hayner here, and I got some sad news. Smoking Jim, about 7-8 minutes ago, was in a car accident right out front of our studio parking lot. He got transported to Mercy Hospital. We don't know the extent of any injuries. I assume he was injured. He has a very small car that I kid him. He uses a can opener to get into it. And we have a guest host who's a volunteer at our studio. Miss Elaine introduced us to, and I'll have him say his name.
Nicholas Callis, hello.
Yeah, we need to put a camera on him.
Yes. We got a camera on him?
Yeah, hi.
There
Oh, there we go. Hello.
Everybody, welcome Nick to our show.
There, we got him on. All right, I'm glad we got him on. I just wanted to announce to people this is our second Thursday night live show. After 9+ years of being on every Tuesday night, it seems very strange to me, but somehow we got through last week's show to rave reviews. And I wanted to share that Dave Cable changed the days that we were used to be on. So you can see us Monday at 9 a.m., then you won't see us on Tuesday anymore. You won't see us on Wednesday. Thursday at 7 p.m. like this every week. Then Friday, 7 p.m., 9:30 p.m. So you can watch us twice. And then Saturday, 7 p.m., 9:30 p.m. And then Sunday, 7 p.m. and 11 p.m. for some of my friends that say, why don't you have it on after midnight? And a couple times we've done it, but we got an 11 o'clock Sunday night show. But it'll be from Thursday night, so you got to put up with it. That's our schedule. I wanted to let you know about that. I have some promos that I want to put out there right now. We got Connor on camera. Let's see what he does. I'm looking at that. There we go. Olive Oil's Pizzeria, right at Hillcrest Shopping Center. You can't miss it. 412-831-1900. Just was making sure I had the right brochure. They have great Italian food, salads, you name the pasta, they have it. Great food, great deals there. They have a flyer every so often, so check them out. Tell him, Frank, the owner, if he's around, that Al Levine, the Talking Machine, recommended you go and eat right there at Olive Oil's Pizzeria. Next up, we have a 501c3, Bethel Park Historical Society. Look at that. Schoolhouse Arts and History Center. They're right there where the red trolley is. You can't miss it. And they've been around there since 1905. They've remodeled the school, have businesses there, even a dance studio, an artist. They have my favorite tea place, Reginald's Coffee, roasted coffee beans from all over the world. It's fresh. It's a great place. They have desserts for you to eat and snack on, and they're open. You can get stuff to take out, and I hear the people love the coffee. I love the green tea, so check it out. Next up, we end each show with Stay Joey Strong, and we honor Joey Fabus. Died at 9 years old, just before his 10th birthday 6 years ago. He had the dreaded brain cancer, DIPG. When you're diagnosed with it, these young kids die within a year. And sure enough, it took his life. His family did something positive. They started the Joey Fabus Childhood Cancer Foundation. They've raised over $100-some thousand to give to doctors to find a cure, and they're still searching for that. So check it out and donate money or time there. They do events. When COVID lessens, maybe we'll see some of their events. Next up, Dave Cable likes to have a little fun at my expense. There's my smiling face on Uncle Sam. Tell them Uncle Al, the Talking Machine, wants you for BPTV, like Nick. Nick works on the cameras and the 1-2s, like Smoking Jim says. He has a couple hairs out of place, but he does well. Anthony's in there with no hair out of place in the control room, and we have Connor here on the camera. Look at what he did with this. He got my fingers there perfectly, holding that. So check it out. Call 412-831-3304. Tell Dave Cable you want to be here like these other volunteers that are here. and we can use you here every once in a while. So next up, another 501c3, Bethel Park Community Foundation has money for you from $100 to $5,000 a year. Go to www.bpcf.org. Get an application. We have meetings once every couple months. I think we got one up before the end of January. Get your app, come on in, plead your case on why your group needs money to help do great things in Bethel Park. By the way, we've given out over $1 million in 25 years to local groups and institutions here. So we have money for all of you. So check it out. Next up, I got a sponsor. This is where I test Connor, and he's been a superstar. Look at that. Whoop, now look at that. I centered it. Thanks, Connor. Give a call there, 724-348-4715, 6103, Route 88. It's in Finleyville. It's only about 6 miles from here. Skeets Lewandowski is the owner of Skeet Service Station, red, white, and blue station. They do work on anything and everything that runs on gas. Boats, trucks, cars, tractors, weed whackers, hedge trimmers, anything runs on gas, they can fix it, get it running. Like Chip says, you need some gas in it though. It helps to have the gas.
Mm-hmm.
And they also work on electronic things like lawnmowers, weed whackers, different tools. They can fix those for you too, so check it out. They have drive shafts that they can put for your car. They have a forge. They can make different things, like I tell you, with Smokin' Jim's hooks for all the Sweeties pictures that he has on the walls. 2 whole rooms of Sweeties. So check it out. Go to Skeet Service Station. All right, we got to start this show up because Skeet sponsors it. What's on your mind, Nick?
Well, the Steelers right now are certainly on my mind. I think a lot of Steeler fans don't want Steelers to be on their mind. But for me, I'm just thinking about Ben's future, Marquise Pouncey's future, and I'm thinking about, like, what happened on Sunday? How could any of what happened happen? The only time I remember a snap going awry in a game was Super Bowl 48 when the Broncos had that misfortunate play and it resulted in a safety. When that happened during the game, I had just sat down with my pizza and that happened, and then I said, "Oh no, I don't have a good feeling about this." And that
was an understatement.
Right, right. But even then, I was still optimistic. Okay, I heard a lot of flack because Ben didn't jump on the ball. Well, I mean, if he would have jumped on the ball, he risked hurting himself.
I
Okay,
got to
that's fine.
interrupt you.
What's
The
that?
guy who didn't jump on the ball was James Conner.
Well, okay.
Big Ben's old.
Right, Ben's old,
And he got a bad knee that they don't talk about. Sorry
Exactly.
to interrupt you, but you're
No,
getting
no,
on that point. Yes.
Totally, yeah. So James Conner, maybe he could have went for the ball, but I understand why Ben didn't go for it. You're giving up 7 points, you're getting the ball back. There's still a lot of time left in the game. But the issue is that while they had all that time to rebound and put some points on the board, play some solid defense, they didn't. Ben threw some interceptions. Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt ran over the defense. And it was just a shame. And I just kept watching the Browns, continue to attack the Steelers and continue to score. 28-0 was the eventual score. I heard it. Chip turned off the game
In the first quarter. And to speak to your point, after the first play, there's a little bit of the game left. I would have to say 59 minutes and 46 seconds. But I think they could have had an hour and 59 minutes and 46 seconds, and it wasn't going to make a difference.
No doubt.
Yeah, but I'm just thinking about I'm thinking about the future too, because Ben Roethlisberger's all sad, and he became a meme on social media because he's crying. And it just makes you think: was that Ben Roethlisberger's last game? I don't think so. I guess Chip does.
No,
But-
we'll get into that later
Okay,
in our Steelers segment.
But
Yeah.
There's plenty to discuss.
yeah, there's
there.
plenty to discuss. But that's on my mind right now: the Steelers' future. And I have some Steeler masks, but you see them wearing the Pirates mask now because I'm pretty much over the Steelers at this point, and that's really what's on my mind right now.
Thank
Nice
you very
job,
much,
Nick.
Nick.
Nice job.
Welcome aboard for the show, and thanks for filling in. And I'd like to ask all of you that are fans of Smokin' Jim, and he's my best friend, to pray for him. We'll try to find out details. I'll post it up on Facebook, when I find out more. But he's a man that's a very secretive man. I got to tell Nick and Connor that. He doesn't tell you too much. And he had a quadruple bypass a few years ago. He's had trouble walking with some issues that he won't tell us. But lately he's been pretty healthy for this year. So this is really, it's heartbreaking to me because he's such a good guy. He's got one of the best smiles in the television world, and he's a very knowledgeable guy, but I call him an entertainer because that's what he tries to do, and he's pretty successful at it. So please pray for my best friend, and we'll give you updates as soon as we can. And what do you think of Nick filling in? I'm happy he did. And he's a senior this year at Waynesburg. So we'll follow his exploits because he'll be out there in the world doing something with radio and TV, possibly. Doesn't he have a great voice there, fans? So he did well. All right, Chip, what's on your mind?
Oh, thank you, Alan. And Alan is right. You know, our thoughts and our prayers are with Jim Frazier right now. And Alan kind of hit it on the head. Jim is an entertainer, but more importantly, he's my friend. And, you know, I'm concerned for his health and well-being, and I hope he's
Amen.
okay. The
Amen.
car can be fixed. And I want
He's
to
gone through a bunch of them and trucks, but yeah.
I want to welcome Nick onto our show. And Nick, as Alan mentioned, is a senior at Waynesburg College. Nick is going to, after he's done with school, in radio broadcast, sports broadcasting, that's what he wishes to do.
Or maybe a podcast.
And his mentor right now is none other than legendary former Pirates announcer Lanny Fratteri. And I bring that up because wait till you see what I got on my trivia segment tonight.
That's a
But
teaser,
that's
folks.
being said, what is on my mind?
Yeah.
Pittsburgh sports fans in general are a spoiled bunch. We've been spoiled by the success of our sports teams. You know, in my lifetime, the Pittsburgh Pirates have won 3 World Series. They haven't done a lot of winning recently. They had a 3-year run where they could have potentially won the title, and they did not. They had another one back in the early 90s when Jim Leland was manager,
Yeah, 3
where
good
they
years.
arguably had the best team in baseball in 90, 91, and 92, and they didn't get it done. You've got the Pittsburgh Steelers, who've won 6 Super Bowls over the last 50 years, one of the most successful NFL franchises over the last 50 years. And then you've got the Pittsburgh Penguins. Since 1991, they've won 5 Stanley Cups, and they're perennial playoff teams. And, you know, we've become spoiled. Everybody in Pittsburgh is an expert. Everybody knows how to run an NFL franchise, how to coach an NFL franchise, how to run a Major League Baseball franchise, how to coach a Major League Baseball franchise. And, of course, we all know how to run a hockey team. And none of us are ever wrong as we criticize our teams because, you know, it's always the coach that needs to be fired, the owner is a bum and he should be run out of town, et cetera, et cetera. But this, folks, is a sad day that I have to tell you that the next few years in Pittsburgh sports are going to be some lean years. We've got some, the outlook is not as bright as it used to be. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they have some very difficult decisions to make. Some of them were made today. And we'll get into that when we get into our Steelers segment.
Yeah.
The Pittsburgh Pirates are in a complete rebuild. You know, they don't want to admit it, but
No. What team
know,
does? What team
what
ever
team does, but you know, it's right there for everybody to see. And if you honestly need somebody from the organization to tell you that they're in a rebuild, then I think you're pretty pathetic. And the Pittsburgh Penguins started out the season in a bad way last night. I entered into the season with, I think, the weakest team that I've seen them put out in almost 15 years.
I agree.
Right now, the Pittsburgh's defense, at best, is suspect. Their starting goaltender, I do not know if he is a number 1 caliber starting goaltender. Is he somebody that can put the team on his back and carry them? We're going to find out. If last night was an example of what we got going this season,
Not good.
it's going to be a long season. But that being said, last night was 1 game out of 56. And, you know, the start wasn't great. And, you know, they lost the game 6-3, gave up 3 goals in the third period in crunch time. They're playing the Philly Flyers again tomorrow night. very easily the Penguins could win that game 6-3, and then everything's going to be fine. But I don't see the Pittsburgh Penguins in the division that they're in this year as being a playoff caliber team. I think the division that we're in is extremely strong, a bunch of young up and coming teams, and is Sid Crosby, is Evgeny Malkin, are they able to carry this team into a long playoff run? I personally don't see it. I don't think they did enough to strengthen the defense. Chris Letang, he is what he is. In my humble opinion, Chris Letang is overrated. He's not going to get better as he gets older, and he continues to make the same mistakes again and again. So that all being said, I will 100% support each and every one of my local teams because that's what I do. I'm a Pittsburgh sports fan, true and true. I will be objective, and I will call a spade a spade. And, but it's going to be some lean pickings for the next few years, and Pittsburgh sports fans are just going to have to learn to accept it. That's what's on my mind.
Thank you, Chip. I agree with most of what you're saying there, and the future will tell us all the facts.
I hope I'm wrong.
Well, you only have a slight chance of being wrong, at least for the next few years. But that's just my humble opinion. What's on my mind? Steelers. I was excited that they were going to come back from their losing ways in the back half of the season being so bad, and they did not. Rarely do you see any game start with a snap over the head of your quarterback on your first play. And like, I was a self-motivated player. I didn't like all the rah-rah stuff that other players want to pump you up. I was pumped up to play and win every game. And I know a lot of people are self-starters like that in sports. So the rah-rah thing doesn't get me all excited. I never really cared about it. I just played and tried to beat the other guy across from me as a center. Now what bothers me is I see the beginning of each game in this the younger generation that's taken over. They're distracted by all this social media, and I don't see a fast start from the Steelers except every once in a while. And you talk about a slow start, one snap over the quarterback's head. I believe James Conner could have got it if he just would have sacrificed his body on the ball. All he had to do is take a step over. Instead, he went around so it wouldn't go into the end zone, because I watched the plays. All he had to do is fall on it. And he has good hands. He can hold it, except when he's fumbling. But he could have got that. Big Ben, I don't expect much. He's 38 years old. He's been hit until the last year or two more times than almost anybody in NFL history. He used to get beat up all the time, and they've kept him pretty clean the last few years. So it takes a toll. He's 38, and age is one of the toughest things to beat. I've had friends that are older than me, and they go, "Why do you in the battle with old age?"
May I interrupt?
Yes.
I heard Brian Billick say this morning, Father Time is undefeated.
Yes, that's what I was getting to. Thanks for that quote. But I had a lady friend of mine in her 80s, and she goes, "The toughest battle I've had in my life is fighting old age." And it happens to people. I've never been this old before. I'm aging as we speak, but it's a natural fact in life. You can't stop the aging process. What's crazy about nowadays is people don't believe that it'll affect you. Well, why do you work out so hard, change your nutrition, hire coaches for everything? Look at LeBron spending money. Look at James Harrison. He was spending $1,000 a day to be a beast and not a team player, in my opinion. And he didn't really show anybody else how to play or guide them, but he was spending $1,000 a day to do the best he could and be as strong as he could on all those videos. How long did that prolong his career? Age caught up to him. And look, he even left here in a bad way. So these things happen. I think Big Ben is potentially a year away for retiring, or even now. Because what I've seen all year, in my opinion, I've only seen him play a half a game almost all year or less. And to me, that shows that old age, he could throw the heck out of the ball, but when you're throwing it away and high and missing people by 10, 15 yards because maybe they ran the wrong route and other things like that, maybe we need somebody in there new and a new start. And as far as Pouncey, And, some of the offensive line, I think they're, and DeCastro, I notice a drop-off in their playing just from being a lineman. You see certain things, you see certain plays, you see certain passes. Like with the running game, how come a running back gets to the line and there's 3 of their players in front of them? As a blocker, I know I was trying to block one guy, but there were 3 guys in a lot of times on these running plays. So to me, there's some things they need to change. We'll talk about the changes that they did make today. You've probably all heard about it, but we'll talk about that. But that's just my humble opinion. There'll be some changes here, and they're needed. Like when I said they were 11-0, enjoy it. Don't be ragging on them, because what would we say if they were 1-10? Can you imagine what Steeler fans would have been saying if we were 1-10?
Facebook would blow up.
Yeah, they would have said get rid of the whole team, the coaches and everybody. But instead we were 11-0, and they were still talking. They weren't happy. I was happy with the 11-0 with the problem of playing other teams. I thought we'd lose another 3 games, not the 5 out of 6 that we did lose. So that's all I have for you. We've got some more Steeler talk, and we're going to be coming back to hear some things from Nick, the special co-host.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running up the sideline. 25.
So many times people come up to me and they'll be like, Amy, why do you volunteer for Bethel Park TV?
The best thing about working at BPTV is I get to go out and explore the community.
You come up and you talk about things that you love and things that you want to share.
Everybody has something different to bring to the table. What do you have to bring to the table?
When you say, how can I give back? How can I give back? How can I give back? Who would I donate to? It's not always about money. It's about time.
Put forth your story, tell your tale to Bethel Park TV.
It's just opens your mind to so many different things.
I absolutely love it with my heart, with my soul, because I know what it does for the residents of Bethel Park.
Please come up and visit.
Come on out to Bethel Park. We're here, and we're welcoming you with open arms. Come on out and share with us.
Hello to everybody at Bethel Park. My name's Anthony Veltri, and I'm a current volunteer here at BPTV. Now, what does BPTV stand for? Well, it stands for Bethel Park Television. And a fun fact about Bethel Park Television is it's its own public access television station. So that means that you can come here, give us your show, we'll make it, and we'll publish it to live television. And another fact that you can also be an intern or a volunteer here at BPTV. And it's all thanks to our facility director, Dave Cable, for allowing me to become a former intern and now a current volunteer. Thank you all so much, and I hope to see you soon at BPTV.
Steelers show blitz. He throws the pass up. It's going to be picked up. James Harrison has it. He's running up the sideline. 25.
We're back on Pittsburgh Sports Line. We got Connor on the camera. We got Anthony running the 1s and 2s, and in honor of Smoking Jim tonight, that's Al Levine, the talking machine. And if you want the green, you've got to see Levine.
There you go.
Yeah.
All right. Great imitation of Smoking Jim Frazier.
Oh, yeah, but Smoking Jim got in a car accident earlier. So
Prayers
to
to Smoking Jim.
I've known him for 2 months, and I already love the guy. Great guy. It's been fun working with him, and I'm certainly thinking about him as we all are here in the studio. But
tell us about yourself. Come on, no
about
further
myself,
ado. Yes.
I love talking about myself. I love talking. That's why I like being on this show.
All right,
but,
tell us where you're from.
I'm from Green Tree, Pennsylvania. So
My
just
hometown.
up north.
Tell me what year you were born.
Oh, Al and I are not related.
Thank you.
Yes.
According to Smoking
We're disclaiming
Jim.
that right now.
Yes.
We're not related. Not yet.
We're working on it. We're working on it. It's a little kind of an under the table kind of thing.
Right.
We'll see what we can do. When were you born?
1998. So
Tell them your age.
My age, I'm 22. I just turned 22, and you all knew that because Al brought in a cake for me. That was my birthday, although I wasn't on camera, but that's who we were
He
celebrating.
avoided the
Me.
camera, and meanwhile, he loves the camera. Look at how he
I
is.
love the camera.
Yeah.
Hi. Hi,
Photogenic,
Mom.
isn't he?
Hi, Dad. Hi, Mariah. That's my sister.
Okay.
Nice people. Oh, hey, okay, we're on that camera. But anyway, so, my dad was an announcer at the Green Tree Fields up at Green Tree Park, and I used to run the scoreboard for him.
Get on.
And then, so he.
I played over at Aiken Little League Field
Yeah.
for years, and at Johnny Wilson Park. And
not
it's
familiar
on
with that.
Sheldon, and it's on Rhodes Avenue in Sheldon.
Okay.
It's a park near the pool.
Oh, yeah.
It's a ball field up
Yep.
there called
I've-
Johnny Wilson Park.
I've played there before.
Yeah, and I played there. Babe
Johnny
Ruth.
Wilson, that's his first name.
What's that?
I've heard of Wilson Park, but I didn't know his first name was Johnny.
Yeah, yeah.
We're learning.
I
that.
heard he was a World War I veteran.
I had no idea. I just remember
Little
the Wilson
fiction and fact from Alan Levine's Almanac.
Park. Right. Except you don't tell half the truths. You tell.
No, I tell the truth as I see it.
Right. But
No, so go on. So you went to Keystone Oaks.
I did. I went to Keystone Oaks.
Where'd you go to grade school?
I did. Aiken Elementary.
That's where I went.
Yeah.
And I'll give you another fiction and fact.
All right.
I had a good friend. His name's Bill Russo, and he lives in Green Tree. And his grandfather was Fred L. Aiken.
No, oh my goodness.
And that's one of my best friends from Green Tree. Still, 60 years later, he's still my friend.
He has a school name.
Fred L.
Fred
Aiken.
L.
How about
Elementary
that?
School.
How cool is that?
That's pretty cool.
He went there with us, same
Wow.
age here. So, but that's some more history for Green Tree for you.
Like it.
No nepotism, but
Nope. We just grew up in the same place. We're not related, so nepotism doesn't count. But yeah, so I graduated from Keystone Oaks in 2017, and I had gone into school kind of uncertain about what I wanted to do, but because my dad announced and because I got some experience talking, I decided to go into sports broadcasting. I started by announcing video games. I'd turn the announcers off, and I'd just talk about the games. And that would get me my practice, and then when I went to school at Waynesburg University, I was able to talk real sports. But I'll tell you that what I love to do is announce. I'm not a big fan of all these opinions and debate shows, and I know that this is kind of one of them. And I'm kind of the opposite of Smoking Jim. I'm not an entertainer. I enjoy just giving the facts. And I'm not too happy with the fact that there are people out there that say things just to be controversial. And I have a theory that a lot of the time the controversy is scripted and the shows want you to talk about certain subjects. And I don't like the Ravens, but I will say that
Hold it, I'm wearing the colors.
Right. Well, I don't like the Ravens. Hooray! I'm from Pittsburgh. But I hated the narrative that was going out there. Like a few people said, Lamar Jackson can't perform in the playoffs. And I hated that narrative because that's easy. It's like, okay, well, he didn't perform for the past couple of years.
Well, he only had 2 years in the playoffs.
Exactly.
And he lost both.
Exactly. That's my point. And I hate that that was the narrative. And then he goes and wins a playoff game, and they ask him that question after the game, how does it feel to win a playoff game? I know there was a lot of controversy. Well, who created the controversy?
Right.
It was the media. No,
and I think part of the problem is, and we see this a lot in society right now, but more so, people want to have that hot take. They want to be the Twitter stars. They want their
TikTok.
take to be
Juju
out there.
Smith-Schuster.
TikTok, Switch, everything.
And to
Switch.
be very honest with you, I have less respect for the people that try to grab that spotlight. I would prefer to have people that just stick with what they're seeing and in the nuances of the game as opposed to the characters in it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I just feel like image is so much bigger now in every aspect of life, but sports gets affected by it. Just that image of being a social media presence, the fact that now, well, Lanny Fratteri, too, they were talking earlier, but Lanny Fratteri is a professor at Waynesburg University, and I feel like I'm going to be really successful because of his support from what he's taught us.
He's a great guy.
He's a great guy. But, the social media aspect of things, there's too many personalities and not enough of just playing the sports. Or it's too much about image, not about...
Too much fluff and not enough substance.
Right, well...
Too much fluff, not enough stuff.
Right. But I feel
I coined that.
Yeah, but I feel like in all aspects of life, it's more about the image. How good does Bryce Harper look, speaking of baseball? He gets the big contract. because he looks great and he's a controversial player. I don't think his stats have been that great over the years, but he still gets paid the big money and he still does produce inconsistently, but he does.
Well,
Juju,
look, they traded him from Washington. Who won the World Series?
They didn't trade him. He signed with another team.
Right,
big
but
bucks,
I mean,
Yeah.
they got rid of him.
They
Right.
got rid of
Makes
him and
sense.
they won without him.
Yeah.
Right, but it's just like Juju Smith-Schuster. What in the world possesses him to go on TikTok and dance on other people's logos? As an athlete myself, I played football and baseball and I wrestled in high school, and never, ever, ever would I ever think about antagonizing my opponent.
Well, here's what's
it's disrespecting your
Yeah.
opponent.
Here's what's interesting. You're a young person that's been exposed to social media. You may use it or whatever else, but you have respect, which is rare in this day and age. Chip and I are old school. I'm 64 years old, so I got, years on you. I respect the other team. Even if I don't like them and they're disrespectful to me, I still respect the team and the tradition they have. Like I've interviewed young kids, and they'd say, oh, my favorite team's Cleveland. And I go, I have empathy for you. I didn't go, what are you, stupid? Why do you like that team? I mean, that's the difference between having respect like you're talking about, being at the younger spectrum that's exposed to all this, and you probably have strong thumbs like everybody in your generation.
Well, admittedly, I didn't get social media until I was 17.
Okay, good.
Because I always wondered, I'm sitting here like, I'd watch some of my classmates get made fun of on social media.
Right.
And I'd be like, why are you exposing yourself to that? Like, if you don't want to see it, don't go on it. And that's exactly the opinion I've taken, or the stance I've taken, and it's worked out for me. I don't go on social media unless it's necessary. I network on there with people who I might
hold
have
it. I'm old. Facebook, I have 6,924 likes. You're watching. If you haven't liked, I'll check it out. Please like my Facebook page. If we get to 7,000, we'll bring a cake in and celebrate it.
He'll buy us a pizza.
Another one, yes.
Yes.
A pizza.
He'll buy
Hooray.
us a pizza.
You liked that cookie cake, didn't I?
I did like that cookie
Yeah.
cake. It was wonderful, and I appreciated it. But
No, you're welcome.
yeah,
Did you share it when you got home?
I did. My sister had a slice, my mom had a slice, and my dad had a slice.
Oh, you had to cut them thin.
I
didn't
kind
leave
of.
a
It
whole
wasn't
lot.
much left, but
My son needed a slice. He thanked me for that.
Yeah, that's good. But it's just like the presence of social media is just. It could be beneficial, but it is harmful in many ways. And
If you use it for something good,
yeah,
that's what I try to do with mine, because a lot of stuff I don't want to be on Facebook because of the nonsense.
exactly. Yeah,
But please like Pittsburgh Sportsline if I didn't say it once.
we got a great show, so
Yes.
that's fine.
And we have almost 700 shows on YouTube, and you can find them. Just type in Pittsburgh Sportsline, all one word.
Yes.
And we're good. But yeah, we're going to wind this up with you. Any closing words on your little monologue that I got you on?
Right. Use social media for good. Create your own opinions by experiencing sports. Don't let other people tell you how to think.
And where do you look at being in the next couple years?
Either working a job like this where I do behind-the-scenes stuff or make guest appearances every once in a while, or maybe if sports open back up, if the pandemic
It will eventually.
dwindles down, right, then maybe announce for a ball club at any sport, football, soccer, basketball,
do
wrestling.
you have an
or
open mind?
baseball. I've got an open mind. You can't have a closed mind in this business. You've got
Welcome
to be
aboard.
versatile.
I concur with that.
You got to be versatile.
Yes. Well, thank you, Nick. Now we're going to go to Chip Hayner.
Well, thank you, everybody. And it's interesting that the way events happened tonight happened this way, because before it was determined that Nick was going to be here, I'd already worked on what I was going to talk about in my segment.
They think we script all this stuff, so it ties in.
Interestingly enough, to be a quality sports announcer, and I do believe that the game of baseball has created some of the best sports personalities in history. You've got people like Vin Scully, Ernie Harwell, Tom Brenneman from the Cincinnati Reds.
Yeah.
The list goes on and on. Well, Nick is being mentored by none other than Lanny Fratteri, who was the voice of the Pirates for 35 years.
Yeah.
And, the thing about a baseball game and announcing baseball games is radio is the medium that most baseball games are announced on.
Yeah.
And what you have to do when you're announcing a baseball game is you have to paint a picture. And, you know, it's as important what you don't say as to what you do say. And you have to let the events unfold and let them paint a picture. So I was reading an article over the last 2 Sundays in the Pittsburgh Post-Gazette. And if any of you got access to the Post-Gazette, read it. They did a 2-part series, 2-page, just 2 full pages long on the great Bob Prince, the gunner. And that's who I want to talk about tonight.
I even met him.
Because he is one of the greatest announcers in Pittsburgh sports history.
Legendary.
Bar none. Take nothing away from Lanny Fratteri. Lanny took over the job for Bob Prince when Bob Prince got fired. But Robert Ferris Prince was born July 1st, 1916, and he passed away on June 10th, 1985. He was an American radio and television sportscaster and commentator, best known for his 28-year stint as the voice of the Pittsburgh Pirates, the club with whom he earned the nickname The Gunner and became a cultural icon in Pittsburgh. And, you know, he got the nickname The Gunner because they said he had a machine gun staccato when he spoke, and it was unique
was
to him.
nonstop. Yeah.
Prince was one of the most distinct and popular voices in sports broadcast history, known for his gravel voice, unabashed style, and clever nicknames and phrases, which came to be known as gunnerisms. His unique manner influenced a number of broadcasters after him, including the Pittsburgh Penguins voice Mike Lang, the Pittsburgh Steelers color analyst Myron Cope. Prince called Pirate games from 1948 to 1975, including the World Series championships of 1960 and 1971. Nationally, he broadcast the 1960, 1966, and 1971 World Series and the 1965 All-Star Game for NBC, as well as the first year 1976 of ABC's Monday Night Baseball. He also broadcast at different times for other Pittsburgh area sport teams, including the Pittsburgh Steelers and Penguins hockey. Many veteran observers believe Prince did his best work while paired with his longtime sidekick, Jim the Possum Woods.
And what a nice guy he was. I met him at a networking event. And I go up and I go, I've been a fan of yours forever. He was the nicest guy. He shook my hand and he goes, thank you for that. And then he asked a couple questions who I was, and I was working at the Post-Gazette. He interacted with me. Just a down-to-earth guy, very personable. And I can see why he was such a great sidekick. I even told him, you were the best sidekick that could have ever worked with the Gunner. And he said, thank you very much.
Well, and to get back to Prince, Prince joined Rosie Rosewell in the Pirates broadcast booth as commentator in 1948, and he was promoted to the top spot shortly after Rosewell's death in February 1955. There are 100 different stories about the antics of Bob Prince.
At least.
And
there may be 1,000.
And some of them, he was a regular smoker and a social drinker. The fun-loving Prince jumped from the 3rd floor of the Chase Hotel in St. Louis into the swimming pool in 1957 on a dare from Pirates third baseman Gene Freese.
Wow.
Okay? So, but Jim the Possum Woods and vice versa in the 60s, which coincided with the rise of the Pirates as a championship caliber team. It was Woods who first referred to the Prince as the Gunner. Some say this was because of his staccato, rapid-fire style. Others claim it was the result of an incident with a jealous gun-toting husband. Woods allegedly recounted to an interviewer in Cleveland that 2 decades ago, during Woods' first spring training with the Pirates in Fort Myers, Prince had had a narrow escape from an encounter with a jealous husband who was packing a gun.
Wow.
To be sure, no one played black and gold like Prince, but before or since. Invariably, when his Buccos were trailing in the late innings, he'd say, we need a bloop and a blast. If calling for 3 runs, he would say, we need a bleeder, a bloop, and a blast. His partisanship slipped over into Woods style as well, and by the mid-60s, the Possum would be announcing the presence of a pinch hitter and reserve catcher Jesse Gonder with let's go up yonder with Jesse Gonder. The two would continue working together through the 69 season, after which the flagship station KDKA refused to match a higher salary offer for Woods to join Jack Buck in a Cardinals spoof. That partnership only lasted 2 seasons. Prince was more of a rooter than a homer, in that he was always showed respect to the opponents and the game alike. Remember this. Like the vast majority of broadcasters of his time, he rarely second-guessed players or managers. He was especially close friends with the Milwaukee Braves, Warren Spahn, and Lou Burnett.
Yeah.
But, the Gunner created all kinds of things. There was a, some of the Gunnerisms were, there's a Hoover job.
Yeah.
That was,
The Hoover vacuum.
The Hoover vacuum. That was when the Pirates needed a double play.
Sure.
And, regardless of what the Pirates did in a game, they could be losing 19-1 in the bottom of the ninth with 2 outs and runners full. The Pirates could score 19 runs and win the game 20-0, 20-19, and he would say, "We had them all the way."
That's a classic.
Just like Greg Brown nowadays says when the Pirates win the game, "Raise the Jolly Roger."
Right.
Bob Prince is one of the ones that started that. Great Pittsburgh sports figure. It broke my heart when the Pirates fired him in 1975.
Oh, yeah.
Because as a child growing up, I fell in love
That's
with
all
the
we knew.
Pirates of
That's all we
Clemente
knew.
and Stargell and Mazeroski and Gene Alley and, Bill Vernon.
Oh, yeah.
And the list goes on and on. Listening to those games on a transistor radio, it was almost like you were at the game when you listened to Bob Prince
Oh, yeah.
broadcast a game over the radio. And, just
It was
wanted
just
to,
the facts.
yeah.
And entertainment. He was an entertainer, too.
And I wanted to bring this to attention because, I think this is something that's lost on a generation. Greg Brown does an amazing job.
Yeah.
Steve Blass,
He
for
was
60
wonderful.
years, he was he was a member of the Pirates organization, and this is a tradition that needs to carry on. Listen to what Mr. Fratteri has to tell you, because he's a man who lived that and was able to be successful, and that's really the hot takes. Leave that for somebody else.
I agree.
So that's what my trivia segment's on tonight. The Gunner, Bob Prince, greatest announcer in Pittsburgh sports history.
Thank you, Chip. I appreciate those memories. On location, with all this, look, we're wearing masks, practicing social distancing here in our studio. No real shows out there on location because we can't afford the risk, and they don't have a lot of people in them now at 50% capacity, so that sort of shuts us down. If you want to see that show, that Zhang Taekwondo, we have over 700 views already. If you could pump that up a little bit, it's a great show. You can see Master Zhang break 10 boards, which is like a foot thick, with one kick. He jumped through a ring of fire. We had a great entertaining group of people, 2 8th graders, 1 lady, 1 guy. 8th graders broke boards above their head. So there's a lot of great action. They had 5 North Carolina guys fight the Pittsburgh guys, and they won. And they fought like Chuck Norris and Bruce Lee used to, no equipment. So it was very exciting, so check that out. We have our eyes and ears open for any time we could do a show somewhere else, and we're going to put some feelers out to try to go out there on location. So stay tuned with that.
Little breaking news.
What's that?
Breaking news in the sports world. The Jacksonville Jaguars have hired a new head coach. Urban Meyer of college football
Anthony
fame.
gave me the tip before the show started, so shout out to Anthony and Chip.
But
they were talking about Urban Meyer.
But here's what the issue is, which they're not talking about right
His
now.
health.
He has been in negotiations with the Jacksonville Jaguars for a month, working on setting up his staff and everything. What happened to the Rooney Rule?
Yeah.
Okay, aren't there supposed to be minority candidates that are interviewed for the job when it appears that they had their...
Chip, have you ever heard of wink wink?
I don't know.
Have you ever heard of the wink wink?
Well, all I know is that they're talking about more diversity in the NFL, and that they still continue to do things like this when there's a rule in place. I don't know. I thought rules were supposed to be followed, but I could be wrong.
Well, I don't want to get too crazy, but just check out society and what goes on. And there's a lot of that going around throughout our society and in the sports world. The Rooneys tried to get this rule out there to create that, and it hasn't worked very well with the history of the NFL. I'll just share that.
The nudge, nudge, wink, wink.
Right, and that's what I said with the wink, wink. If people don't understand it, it means somebody's looking away from that rule, like Chip alluded to. But yeah, thanks for that update, because I'm done with my segment. Stay tuned for some On Location. We'll be back with some Steeler talk and try to wrap up the season.
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Rachel Harris has it.
Bethel Park Inline Hockey. It's fast, it's fun, and we want you to play. Inline hockey is just like ice hockey, but no ice, and significantly less expensive and far less of a time commitment. Way less travel than ice hockey, too. The sport is played on a specialized rink at the Bridgeville Rollerplex, RMU Island Sports Complex, Harmerville's Alpha Arena, Hot Shots Indoor Sports Arena, and the Murraysville Sports Zone. Our teams play in the Pennsylvania Interscholastic Roller Hockey League, or the PIRHL. Each year, teams from elementary, middle, and high school play a 16-game schedule, plus playoffs, from October through March. Practice one evening a week and games on Saturdays or Sundays. The sport is recognized by the Bethel Park School District, which means student athletes can earn a letter once they reach high school. We play rivals such as Upper St. Clair, Peters Township, Canon-Mac, Pine Richland, North Hills, and so many more. This is no pickup game. You'll need regulation pads, hockey skates, helmets, and the coolest Hawks uniforms around. 2 refs at every game officiate 3 15-minute periods with a running clock. No icing, no offsides, no checking, but this sport will rock you. Registration is coming up, so check out our website at www.bpinlinehockey.com and sign up soon. Let's play!
And his pass is broken up by Tatum. Tipped off. Rachel Harris has it.
Steeler talk. I couldn't be more disappointed because I bleed black and gold, but I deal in reality. Like I alluded to before, Big Ben rarely played more than one half of each game very well. And that to me is a sign of age creeping up on him. He got a knee injury or so. They never really talked about it, but you didn't see him being as mobile as he used to be because he's bigger than a lot of the linemen that come after him. So that was bothersome to me.
Well, usually by the end of the season he is. He may have started out he may have started out the season about the same weight as a linebacker. By the end of the season, he's a lineman.
Yeah.
Here's what the problem that I saw with the Steelers, and it was consistent the year round. And I was going to say if they hadn't made the moves today, I did believe that the offensive coordinator had to go. The offensive was too predictable, not creative enough. I absolutely concur that the offensive line coach needs to be replaced.
Yeah, Smoking Jim said that ever since he was
hired. The problems with the Steelers this year consistently, I think the offensive line was the biggest problem with the offense. And I think the offensive line led to the problem with Ben Roethlisberger. Ben Roethlisberger made his career on being able to extend plays, being able to stand tall in the pocket. Well, this year everybody was talking about how quickly Ben's getting rid of the ball. Well, Ben was getting rid of the ball because his offensive line was incapable of creating a pocket for him to stand tall in and giving the wide receiver routes a chance to develop. So basically, he's getting rid of the ball in 1.4 seconds because, he got
2.17.
So when
2.17,
when he dropped back and wait for, he's getting happy feet. At 38, he doesn't. Now, we talk about Ben being old, but I want to tell you something. This weekend, you're going to watch NFL history made. You've got 2 40-something quarterbacks playing against each other. You got Tom Brady. You got Drew Brees.
Yeah.
And they're still performing at a top level. So 38 years old is not as old as it was thought maybe a decade ago.
It's changed, but I will tell you that if you're not doing the best that you can with nutritionists, coaches, and everything else, then you're not going to be.
It's much more important as you get older.
Yeah, look at the money, like I said, other players were spending, and you see the difference in Tom Brady.
Well, look at him. He's 43 years old. And he
can throw the long ball.
Wait, he has had his best statistical season this
Right.
year. Now, and I do believe that the Steelers' problems, the lack of a running game, stems from poor performance from the offensive line. I don't believe that Al Villanueva is going to be back next year.
No, I think he'll be gone.
I think he played poorly this year. How Marquise Pouncey and David DeCastro got Pro Bowl nods based on their reputations. David DeCastro, I believe, played hurt all year. He was not the David DeCastro that we've seen before.
Didn't see it.
And, and so the Steelers have some really difficult decisions to make, but what are they going to do? They need to start, how do you build a house? You build the foundation. The foundations are the offensive and defensive line. On the defensive side of the ball, it's strong. On the offensive side of the ball, it's weak. Subsequently, what happened to the Steelers on Sunday night? Unfortunately, there was 4 or 5 other games this year where that was potentially possible, but the defense didn't make the plays because Ben was not good in the first quarter of very many games.
Oh, first half even.
So
you can add in a second there.
It caught up to him. But Nick, go ahead.
No, I want to ask you both a question. Did you both watch the game fully?
Yes.
Full from start to finish? Did you?
Yes.
Yep.
No, I have not.
No,
I read up enough on it, and then I think.
No, I watched the whole game from beginning to end.
Okay, I thought I was rare because I did watch it, and I had some optimism in the middle too when the Steelers' offense started.
Well, every
scoring
so
and coming
often
back.
I did, and then they gave up a touchdown.
Right.
Or there was an
Well,
interception.
But I sat down and I watched the whole thing.
Yeah,
so
I did too.
Shout out to those people.
When
like
you
me.
spot a team 28
And me.
points, when you spot a team 28 points, you've dug yourself too big of a hole to get yourself out of. And and the fact of the matter, Ben had an awesome game. If you count from 7 minutes into the second quarter to the end of the game, he was awesome. But prior to that, I mean, the interceptions that were happening, Ben was in a hurry to get rid of the ball. Okay, and why is he in a hurry to get rid of the ball? Because his protection's breaking down around him. See, if you're going to have a
he can't move like he used to.
if you're going to have a quarterback like him, you have got to build a wall around him. You've got to give him time for the pass routes
Well, as
to
an
develop.
example, we mentioned Brady. Look at the linemen they have blocking for him.
And that's surprising because
doesn't
Bruce
like that.
Arians' offenses usually get their quarterbacks killed.
Right.
I mean, look what happened to Ben when Bruce Arians was the head coach here.
Oh, he was getting sacked almost 50 times a year.
50 to 60 times
Yeah.
a year. I don't know how
That's
he made
why
it
I
out
said
of
he
some of
got
those seasons.
hit so many times. It's like being a boxer. In the first round, you're all full of that piss and vinegar. You keep getting those stomach punches and punches to your head. By the 12th round, you're worn out.
So,
if you can't protect
to
yourself.
kind of put a bow on the Pittsburgh Steelers season, huge and utter disappointment. There's been some changes made. Offensive line coach is gone. Offensive coordinator's gone.
Bradley's gone.
Tom Bradley, defensive backs coach, is gone. I honestly think that I don't know how the running backs coach is keeping his job, but
Well, here I say, what about Keith Butler?
Keith Butler's he's being re-signed.
Is he?
Yes, he is. And then now to the next question.
What pictures does he have on people?
The next question to ask, and they're putting this out there falsely on the radio, saying that Ben Roethlisberger is going to cost the Steelers $41 million next year. Here's what: whether Ben plays for the Steelers next year, or whether he doesn't play for the Steelers, he's going to count $22 million against the cap. If he plays, the Steelers will owe him $19 million more.
Yeah, that's what I was going to throw the $19 million.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, is Ben capable of playing another season? Yes. Does he want to? We'll see. Yeah. And all of us can speculate. What are the Steelers' options at quarterback? Mason Rudolph performed well in a game, but he hasn't proven himself yet.
No.
And considering where the Steelers are going to draft, they're certainly not getting a quarterback in the draft.
No.
And with the way they're up against the wall with the cap and the number of free agents they have,
Oh, yeah.
signing a big name free agent doesn't look like that's going to be in the cards either.
No, you got to sign T.J.
So,
Watt.
so a lot of decisions that need to be made, and we'll see what happens. We could speculate all day long, but here's what. None of us know what the Steelers are thinking and what they're going to do. And you know what? I'm going to trust them. I look at their track record over the last 50 years. They get it right more often than they don't. So,
Right.
we'll let that
I'm
go.
just a little more worried because I do trust them with their cap and how they negotiate, but not getting a quarterback to actually back up Big Ben in the last 5 years. I just thought that was odd. Even if you got a guy that could have been a second.
Well, they tried. They tried with Mason. They tried with Dobbs.
I know, but those weren't really.
Well, I mean, considering where they're drafting,
Yeah.
they had other needs. No,
I understand that. That's why I said I understand it. But we sort of have, like the Pirates, we don't have a feeder system into that. With our look at the minor leagues there. So I see that with the Steelers, that we're going to have this malaise for a little while here.
So next up, we got a couple minutes left, and I want to touch base on the Penguins. The Penguins last night proved the things that I was concerned about.
Defense.
The two things I was concerned most about with the Penguins going into the season is defense and goaltending, and both of those raised their ugly head last night.
Yeah, I was especially concerned about defense.
Because these guys haven't played. Now, the surprising thing was Brandon Tanev last night.
Yes.
Was a very strong spark on the third line. And it looks like the third line's going to be okay. But, when the Penguins were winning Stanley Cups as recently as 2016 and 2017, you got to have four lines.
Right.
Okay? And,
it helps.
And Crosby and Malkin have to stay healthy. And
they're all getting old. If you got it, I throw the old age thing because it's the toughest battle. They are in their 30s now.
Sid's
and Letang's not changing. Sid hasn't really changed his game, but he's tweaked it in little areas.
Sid's in his 16th and 17th season in the NHL. So it'll be interesting to see how the Penguin season goes. I'm going to support them all the way, but, could be a long season.
No, I understand that. Nick, any input on the Penguins?
I'm just upset that they lost to a team from Philadelphia.
As we all are.
And every
Very
true
sad.
Penguins fan is.
Yes.
And they got him again tomorrow night.
That's a true black and gold fan. Nothing personal. We don't like Philly. It's as simple as that.
Or Baltimore or Cleveland.
Well, I'm wearing my Raven colors. Here, we got a quick thing. No, we'll save that with the playoffs. Watch the playoffs. Enjoy it. There's some good games out there.
Here we go. My pick to go all the way.
Go ahead.
Let's go, Buffalo.
Whoa, really?
Ooh.
I don't know. I think they might have a game with the Ravens there.
I think so too.
You know what?
I'm leaning towards Ravens, hence
As
the
am I.
purple.
I've got the Bills dethroning the Kansas City Chiefs next week.
Well, I got to end this show. It's been great with Nick, Chip, Connor, Anthony. Stay Joey strong.